All right, cool. Andy, thank you for being here. So, what's really interesting to me about you is you have been named Entrepreneur of the Year. You're the founder and host of the MFCEO Project podcast, which has over 1 million downloads a month. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you're also the founder of a fitness, nutrition, and weight loss product empire that now has sales in excess of over $100 million a year. Welcome.
Ah, thanks for having me, man.
Really appreciate you being here. Now, I want to read something to you that I found on your site that I think is really interesting. I think a lot of people will get a lot out of this. So, 17 years ago, you had $7 a day in sales. 7 years after that, you finally broke $695 in sales in a month. 7 years after that.
Right.
After 10 years, you and your partner made $45,000 a year each. And
Right.
this is after 10 years of
Yeah.
doing that business.
Yeah.
Now, today, you have gone from that to $100 million a year in sales from Supplement Superstores, First Phorm International, Alpine Sports Products. To me,
Right.
that Paradise Distribution, to me, that is incredible. The perseverance. My question to you is, how did you persevere 17 years? I mean, that's incredible. How did you?
Well, the main thing is that I didn't have any other options. So, um, the truth of the matter, and we get a lot of credit. They're like, just like you're saying, that's amazing, dude. There was times I wanted to quit. There was no
Yeah,
question. And there's times I tried to quit, and there was things that happened that just didn't allow it to happen. I put myself in a position because I didn't finish college. The only thing I could have done was go out and do construction work or physical labor, which I didn't want to
yeah,
do. I learned that at an early age. So it was either learn how to do this or go be a grunt for my entire life. And the thing is I didn't want to do that. My family comes from construction. I admire people that do that. I'm not trying to, talk down on that. It's just something I didn't want to do because, to be completely honest, I'm lazy when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't like it. So, you know, it was a matter of really just not having an option, man. And we started so young that a lot of those 10 years, we were doing a lot of things wrong. We weren't investing the time to become successful. I know for sure we didn't believe that we were going to be where we are at that time. So it was a lot of by
yeah,
default, we just stuck with it. And
yeah,
looking back, those were some of the most fun times that I've had in business because we got to do a lot of things that were, we were cool at, we thought we were cool because we owned a business and this and that. But the truth of it is, man, we just didn't have a choice. We had to stick with it. We had to do what we needed to do to survive. We didn't have a backup plan. And that's why, even today, and I'm sure you know this, I talk about that all the time. I think people give themselves too many options, too many outs, and too many other backup plans to the point where, when things start to get a little tough, they go off the schedule and they go off the plan and just revert to this backup plan.
yeah,
And they end up in this situation where they're always on another backup plan and never really following through with, their
yeah,
main priorities of business. So,
yeah,
the short answer is, dude, I just didn't have a choice. I had to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
I had to do it.
yeah. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's
And I
amazing.
try to put myself in that corner, to this day where it's just, I still feel like the same guy I was then. I just don't have a choice.
Totally. And while
So,
we're talking on that vein, a lot of people talk about successes, and we'll of course get into those. But I think the thing is that's not as relatable to a lot of people. What I'm curious in your case is there must have been some failures or obstacles along the way that you had to overcome. Did you have like some massive failures or big obstacles you had to overcome, and what did you do about those?
well, we did, but I'm really good at trying to take things that were negative and turn them into
Yeah,
positive.
exactly.
And so everything that happened to us that was bad, I'll give you an example here in just a second. We were able to take that and look back and say, okay, that was a great thing because of what we learned, and we learned not to do that again. But it also showed us, a new direction maybe to take. For example, this is a real basic example, but it's going to play right into what you asked. When we first started our retail store, we didn't have any money, and we had to actually finance our stores on credit cards because the $12,000 that we had when we started, we actually had to pay the landlord all $12,000 up front because we were only 19 years old and nobody's going to rent some 19-year-old kids. It's with no credit or anything. And so we found a guy who was really generous to offer us that deal, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And we paid him all our cash. And then we bought all our inventory on credit cards. Well, 2 weeks into us getting our store open, we got broken into and vandalized. And every single product, because we didn't have very much, got opened up and dumped on the floor. At this time, Chris and I were living at the store, and we had everything invested, and we had ended up having no product. Well, if we hadn't have had to pay that rent up front and waited for the insurance to come and replace our product, we would have been out of business because we didn't have the money. You see what I'm saying? So we paid the rent up front. We were able to keep the shop, quote unquote, open, even though we weren't selling anything, just because of that situation. So most people, they would pout and cry because they're getting treated unfairly. But at the end of the day, it ended up working out to our benefit. And we wouldn't even be in this position had that not happened.
Yeah.
So things like that. I mean, all these little obstacles that happen along the way, I believe, are there to teach you some sort of lesson.
Totally.
And that's how it's all how you choose to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a deeper question, but what does success or being an entrepreneur mean to you?
Well, I think there's a lot of people in business, okay? Then there's entrepreneurs, and I see those people as different.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people who are in business, they call themselves entrepreneurs, but they're not what I consider to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur would be somebody who, for example, would take a model or a unique idea, and it doesn't always have to be a unique idea, but let's say they got into an industry that was already existing and they would create their own way, not just be a Me Too company. And there's a lot of Me Too. Most companies are Me Too companies. I don't consider those people to be entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship to me is somebody who makes decisions and creates their own path at the very least. Now, you don't have to come up with a Facebook or reinvent a industry, but you find a way to be successful by thinking outside of what the norm is. And that's how I look at entrepreneurship. Success, on the other hand, I think success is about fulfilling potential. And I know everybody has their idea of success. Some people strictly look at it as financial. Some people strictly look at it as family. Some people strictly look at it as fitness or other areas. Mm-hmm. I think that, to me, when I define success, it's defined as the fulfillment, the ultimate fulfillment of your potential. Because it's just like our coaches told us when we were in high school, if you leave it all on the field, you can't have any regrets. Mm-hmm. And I think, at the end of the day, that's our goal, right? Our goal is to live a life that we're not regretful of. And to me, so far, and this may change 5 years from now, I don't know. But to me, from what I've learned so far in my life, I feel like that's trying to fulfill your potential in every significant area that you have. Like for me, that would be, being an entrepreneur, my podcast, which is part of giving back, then actually giving back, my family, and my fitness. In those areas, trying to reach potential in all those areas is going to ultimately give me the most fulfillment for my whole existence. That's success to me, and a lot of people, because I like cool stuff, I like cars and I like that kind of stuff. But a lot of people think that because you have those things, that's all you care about. I find that most people that are financially successful feel at least somewhat in line with how I'm describing. Yeah, I think success is, which is why they're successful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so for sure. And I love your podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
How did that get started? The MFCEO podcast. I love that. I feel like you're being tame for me right now, and I appreciate that. But you have a different. I love your personality, and I feel like, I think building your personal brand must have been part of that, right? Because you're very engaged Instagram. How did that all get started?
Well, I'll give you the whole version. So,
sure.
So we sell supplements, man, and it's hard to make that cool, right?
Yeah.
Like what am I going to post every day? A bottle of vitamins and say, I take vitamins. Like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
So, this is back 6-7 years ago. I was trying to think about what would resonate with people.
Yeah.
And I feel like most people that take vitamins and take supplements, they're motivated. They want to improve.
Yeah.
So I started posting these motivational messages on our company Facebook page back in 2008, 2009, and they were horrible. It was like get up and kick butt today. Like it was terrible. And and it's like anything. You start out, you're bad, and then it evolves, and people start resonating, and you get a little bit of traction, and you just grow and grow and grow. And that's how the idea started. And then when I started doing Instagram, I just stuck with that because that's what I like to talk about, and it just grew. And my podcast co-host, I hired him to help me write a book, and we were audio recording the book.
Yeah.
And he was like, and what we did, we started posting these little clips of the audio interview, and people on the Instagram were like, "Man, where can I listen to this podcast?" I'm like, "Podcast? I don't have a podcast. This is just." And so then I'm like, "Vaughn, maybe we should do a podcast."
Yep.
And we came up with the podcast, and the way we got the name of the podcast, the MFCEO, is actually a play off of old Kenny Powers K-Swiss commercial, where if you Google it, it's a funny commercial. I used to send it to all my friends and all my employees all the time. And so in the beginning, he's like, "Konnichiwa, bitches. I'm the motherfucking CEO of K-Swiss." And
that's awesome.
So it started out as a joke, and one of my employees actually made a shirt that said MFCEO. And this is like 2010. And so when we were talking about the name, I'm like, "Dude, let's just call it the MFCEO project." And now it's like, dude, I had people today at the gas station come up to me and they're like, "Could I get a picture with the MFCEO?" And I'm like, so it's like
that's
became
amazing.
the thing now, but it's cool, it's fun.
It's memorable. You're like a living example of your brand because you're at the gym, you're using your own products. It's like, it's amazing. It's so connected to what you're doing. So
yeah, and the purpose of the podcast is to get people, because it's an entrepreneurial based podcast. It's based in business roots. But the truth of the matter is, we're all the CEO of us.
Yeah.
And if I can help somebody develop confidence and feel good and go through life with a little enthusiasm, a little swagger with their step, they're going to have more fun.
Yeah.
So it's a fun podcast that has real values, that people can learn from. And it has real entrepreneurial lessons that we talk about, the typical things like sales, customer acquisition, customer retention, all the things that go into business. But we always talk about the character traits and the values that go into being really good at those things. So my goal is to get everybody to be, the MFCEO of them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something you touched on there, you said someone in your audience actually suggested to you or said to you, "Well, where do I find the podcast?" And you were like, like a light bulb went off. And I feel like a lot of people I've even had to experience that. People said, where can we listen to the videos of you interviewing people? And I said, maybe I should start recording videos of me actually, because I interview a lot of people, but I haven't recorded a lot of the videos. So I said, okay, cool. They want to see that. So it's interesting that sometimes your own audience can give you suggestions that you actually use. Yeah.
And you just got to be open to taking them,
Two-way engagement.
Yeah. And it's amazing to me how many people on social media don't engage their audience. They don't make them feel included. They don't talk to them. They don't respond back. And, if you want to build a following on social media, you're going to have to be engaged, or you're going to have to be somebody that's already famous.
Yeah.
Totally. So unless you're already a celebrity like The Rock, you better start responding to people's comments and interacting with them and creating your own little group.
Exactly.
It's amazing to me how many people don't do that. And it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
And great ideas come from it. You have a little conversation with somebody that you don't know from across the globe, and then you walk out with an idea like a new podcast, and now our podcast is one of the top ranked podcasts in the world.
It's amazing.
It's just cool, man. Technology is pretty fun.
It's totally, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
What would you say is, if I put you on the spot and said, what's the best advice you've ever received or you've ever given? What would you say?
I've got this term that I like to use. And I came up with it on my own. It's called aggressive patience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most lacking quality in people who don't succeed, and it's the most abundant quality in people who do succeed. And the way I would define aggressive patience would be like this. Okay? You have to understand that no matter how much money you spend, no matter how good you are, no matter how good your product is, no matter any of these variables, time is always going to be a factor. Okay? Just like when you bake a cake, you can have all the best ingredients, but if you don't give it time to bake, it's not going to bake. All right? So aggressive patience is understanding that time is going to be a factor, but also understanding that during that time while you're letting things bake, you're also doing every possible thing you can to improve and grow and become better than you are when you started baking. So it's being aggressively patient, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think most people really struggle with.
Yep.
They're either trying to be patient and not doing anything in the
Yep.
wait time, or they're doing everything they can in one day and not being patient at all. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
those two concepts that, when people first hear that aggressive patience, they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
No,
But
it makes a lot of sense.
yeah, but it's the way, I would say that that's probably the best advice that I could offer anybody in regards to any goal that they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's really good.
Yeah. Cool.
So down the track, let's say, assuming we actually all die, which could be changing in the next 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
What would you want your legacy to be at the end of the track? If you had to decide.
I
Or what
I
left
don't
do you have to accomplish?
I want to be the best, man. I want to be the best at what we do for our actual companies. I want to go down as being somebody who, okay, like for example, like I look at Tony Robbins, okay? Tony Robbins, a lot of people really love him. Some people, think it's hocus pocus. I can tell you this. When I was 16 years old, I got a set of Tony Robbins tapes for my birthday.
Yeah.
And it changed my life completely. And that's being real, man. Like that's, a lot of people don't like to give credit to other people or whatever.
Right.
It's not the cool thing to do right now. But had I not run into that, there is no way I would be where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's real legacy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Absolutely.
somebody who is putting out information, who is genuinely helping people change their life, change their outcome, change the way they live their life. And, I would just like to be somebody that, if I'm gone, that people would point at and say, that's a guy who did those things as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's real legacy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not money. It's not, I'm the richest guy, or I do want to build the best company and all that, but I want to do it through helping people actually get results, which is the key to our success anyway.
Yeah.
But personally, I want to be somebody who provides that kind of value to where people can look at it and say, man, you know what? Had I not crossed paths with that guy's content, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate legacy, personally.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, changing gears again a little bit, you've got multiple companies. You've got the supplement superstores, you've got Phorm, you've got Alpine Sports Products, you've got the distribution company. Do you think, was that a conscious effort, or is that something that just happened? Like, did you say, okay, I want to stack up these companies in a similar space to get to the 100 millions? Or was that something that just happened?
Well, we started with the retail stores.
Okay.
And like we talked about, we weren't very busy. So Chris and I had a lot of time to analyze. And what we did was we looked at what everybody else was doing, and we'd always pick apart what they were doing. So we got in this like mental state of, yes, that company's doing this right and this right, but they're doing this, this, and this wrong. Mm-hmm. And because of all those literally hundreds of hours of conversation, the idea for Phorm was born. And we would say things like, oh, when we get enough money, we're going to start our own brand and we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
And that's how the idea came together. And then naturally when we started with Phorm, then it became, well, when we get to this amount of sales, we need to start importing our own raw ingredients or cultivating our own raws. And then we need to start manufacturing our own products. And then we need to go out and manufacture other people's products. And then we need to distribute those. And so the vertical of our companies, it just happened naturally. It wasn't something that, like I said, now, 5-6 years ago, we finally drew it on the board and said, okay, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And I still draw that on the board for our guys all the time.
Yeah.
But it was a natural progression of thought, that just made sense, for a lot of different reasons. I mean, when you could control, for us, everything from the raw ingredients all the way down to selling the products in your own retail stores, it gives you extreme leverage and flexibility to do really big things.
Yeah.
So it happened naturally. I would like to say, oh yeah, on day one I thought that's how we do it, but it's just a progression of how we were thinking.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
And we've got other projects that are coming up that we haven't started on yet. And and parts of the business are small, parts of the business are more mature. And, our goal now is to, take the lowest level, which is the most mature, and continue to expand those verticals up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you could go back in your career and in your life, would you do anything differently? Is there anything, not in the sense like everything happens for a reason, I get that, and I'm a big believer in that too, but was there any tactical things that you did that you said, okay, well, if I started over again, I would have definitely done this particular thing a little bit differently, or strategized differently on that side, or would you have gone the same way?
Um, that's a hard question to answer, because I think like what you just said, like
Yeah.
I always try to look back and think like, all right, it's good it took us that long, because,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are impatient and they say, oh, it took you 10 years to even make regular living income.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but because of those 10 years now, I appreciate every single dollar that I
Right.
make.
Right.
And I appreciate all our employees, and I try to take care of them, because I know what it's like to struggle like that.
Yeah.
So that's how I think about it. So doing something different, I mean, I've definitely made a million mistakes, man, that have cost us millions of dollars
Yeah.
in time. But I don't think I would necessarily change anything, that we've done. I think personally, I would have learned how to say no a lot earlier. I used to say yes to everything, and that was really. And then when it came time to fulfill those promises, you just can't.
Yeah.
And then it causes problems personally.
Yeah.
I think that was something I would change about myself. That took me a long time to learn. I also think that, underestimating the amount of time it would take to do certain things. Like, I always want things to happen now.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to learn that. But see, that again, that's good, because that imposes a standard of performance on everybody that, dude, we're always going to have a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would change that or not. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I would say, I would definitely do this differently.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be playing out okay.
No, that's good.
So,
That's amazing. That's incredible. You've come a long way, and I think when you can say that and looking back, it's really incredible thing to actually be able to look back and say, nah, I mean, I did it. I was there and I did things, and I got it done, and I'm very proud of what I did. So I think that's amazing to be able to do that. So my hat's off.
I'm
to you.
sure if I thought about it long enough, I could think of some things.
Yeah.
I feel good about the direction and the track we're on. I love the people that we're surrounded by. Everybody internally as well as externally, our customer base. It's very, very cool. So I think everything we've had happen up until now has led to us creating that, because, I just wouldn't know those things or be able to contribute to that the right way if I hadn't.
Right.
So,
totally.
That's
Yeah.
how I think about it.
Cool. Yeah. Do you have a piece of technology that you would recommend to people that you use in business or even life in general that you say, like, you have to be on this or use this?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing people are missing right now that I see with other business owners is they think social media is some sort of fad. They think that it's for kids, or they think it's for, high schoolers, or they think it's for, posting fitness pictures. The truth of the matter is that social media is here. It's going to be here. It's going to be not only here for fun, but it's going to become the main way that people market and promote their whatever it is they're doing. And I mean, it's not going to be, it already is, but a lot of people see it as, something that they don't need to do. And that's a huge mistake, because even the way people market, if you think about it, people, when was the last time any of you listening or watching, or you, Brian, actually watched an ad on television or heard an ad on the radio and went and bought something?
Maybe never.
Exactly.
Not recently.
The way we dress, the way we live, the cars we drive, they all come from different areas of influence, and it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Traditional media had just reminded us where we could get these things. They didn't cause us to buy those things.
Yeah.
So, when we're developing our quote unquote personal brand before social media, we'd look at somebody who was a friend that we thought was cool,
Yeah.
and he drove a Z28 Camaro,
Yeah.
and we're, yeah, dude, I get some T-tops. He probably had a muscle. We let it go, and we do all this weird shit because we think other people are cool, and we develop our little brand off of that.
Right.
And then the radio comes on and says, City Chevrolet has Z28s, and you're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to go buy one.
Yeah.
So that's how we think about it, and that's how it worked, but it doesn't work like that anymore. Now it's like we're looking at social media influencers and people who are big on social who have become celebrities and saying, oh man, that person's doing this that I like, or that person's doing that I like. And then they're also providing where to buy those things.
Yeah. So
it's making the, what used to be like a 3-point connection, a one-stop shop.
Yep.
And people miss that, even if you're not a business owner, you need to be looking at your personal brand, because I could tell you this, like if I have somebody who I'm going to hire and let's say I have 2 people that are equal for, let's just say a base level job, whatever it is, salesperson. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got 2 people that are equal. One guy's got 300,000 followers on his Instagram and engages those people. One guy doesn't even have an Instagram. Guess who's getting hired? You know what I'm saying? Like it's important for everybody. And people are looking for every excuse not to be engaged and not to be into it.
Yep.
And they're making a huge mistake, man, because time right now, this is not something. We're in the first 2 to 3 years, 4 years of what was a 70-year revolution when radio came out and TV came out.
Yeah.
We're in the baby stages of this. And some people are like, oh, I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. Dude, we're not even into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that, as far as technology goes, I mean, just look at Facebook ads. I mean, it's like the thing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
If you're not building your own brand through social media, that's the biggest piece of technology you're missing right now. I don't care what it is.
Yep.
Whether you're an employee, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a manager, doesn't matter.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Huge deal.
Especially for employees too. Like, cause think of it like this, and I know you know this, but let's say somebody is an employee for a company. I've heard many people say, well, why do I need to be on social media if I'm an employee in a company? The answer is, what if you get fired? Like you want to have something that if you're an expert in, whatever you're an expert in, you're a graphic designer for a company. If you have your social media, your personal brand as a graphic designer, you can then take that and you have something. Doesn't matter if you get fired. You've got your personal brand. You can get a new client. You can get a new job. It doesn't matter because you've got your personal brand.
That's right. Personal branding is the biggest thing right now that the average, because a lot of people look at Facebook as a spectator or Instagram as a spectator. They're not active. They're not posting, they're not engaging, they're not working on a brand. They're there to look at other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And those people are the people that are missing the boat. They should be working on building a personal brand as well, because personal branding is going to define your paycheck. If it's not already, in the next 10 years, it's going to be everything.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
Totally.
If you have a guy who let's say you've got 2 guys working in your company, and you have a guy, they're competing for a raise, and let's say they're equal or they're competing for a promotion, who are you going to promote? The guy with the active social media brand or the guy that doesn't even take initiative to do anything?
Yeah.
There's value there, real value.
Totally.
And I think people miss that because they think I'm not a business owner, but you're the business owner of you.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of social media, is it allows all of us to be in charge of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And if you're not looking at it that way, you're way, way, way behind the ball, no matter where you are. That's my opinion.
Totally. Absolutely. And I mean, I want people to look at your Instagram because I think it's a perfect case where, because I hear people that they say, well, I've got a company that sells products. Why would I want to be on social media? Or, oh, I'm just a person. Why I don't have a product. Why would I be on social media? But you're actually a perfect example because you've combined those worlds in a way where it's like integrated social media, where it's like you've got clips from your podcast, you've got workout videos. Sometimes you see products in the background and things like that, but it's done in a classy, integrated way. So I think.
Yeah, you mean you don't sell things like, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I just show people what I do, and that's the other thing is like, dude, being authentic is the most effective way to build a brand.
Exactly.
And people are like, well, I don't do anything interesting. Well, man, you better start.
Yeah. Yep.
Plus, it's going to bring fun, man. It's fun doing it. It really, it's as much as a pain sometimes because it's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
You get to do cool stuff, and it's fun. So, but yeah, man, I try to give people, I mean, you'll never see me, I think maybe 2 or 3 times in the history of my social media have I asked people to actually buy something. One of them was my wife's book.
I noticed
my
that,
wife's book, I asked people to buy that. The other was one of Gary Vee's books. I asked people to buy that. But I mean, never like for directly myself, like, hey, buy my supplements.
Right, exactly.
I don't do that because I know that if I give enough value and I give enough, people are going to want to reciprocate that. And the way they know to reciprocate is to go check my companies out and become a customer. And it works.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
I think people do look at Instagram and social media too aggressively as like a, like I said, like jokingly, like, but people look at it like that.
And some people actually do that. That's the scary part.
Dude, and
they think it works. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. It does actually work for some people.
Well, yeah, I think in certain cases for sure. But,
but I mean, the truth of it is they look at it the wrong way. They look at it as a hard sell all the time.
Right.
And I think that's what keeps people out of social media too. They're like, man, I don't want to get on there and post about this product I'm selling or my job or my this all the time. I want to keep it for me. Well, that's the wrong way to do it anyway. And that's what keeps people out of it. Being authentic with who you are is the ultimate win when it comes to building a brand, I think.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So, dude, what are you fired up about today? Whether it's personal life, business, I know it's a big question, but what are you fired up about?
Man, today we've had a huge week, the best week we ever had in business.
Wow. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting. We're rolling out some new things for next year. Right now in our industry is the time where we're creating strategy for next year, what we're going to do, how we're going to market, who we're going to partner with, what we're going to work on, what new products we're going to bring out. Because at January through August is pretty much our business, and then September through the end of the year is pretty slow in our industry. So, we're right now it's like my busy time. So I'm fired up about everything.
Yeah.
I missed your first call here on the interview because I was doing a podcast. I've got my first book coming out in January. Very, very excited about that. So, I mean, right now there's just a million. I'm excited right now. I'm fired up about doing this interview. I was excited about this for a couple weeks. So, there's so much to be excited about that it's overwhelming a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm also been focusing on my fitness pretty hardcore for the last 12 months. I'm down 75 pounds since January 1st.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's been a huge deal. So, and that's added a lot of momentum to all the projects that I've had. So everything's good, man. It's fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And something I just thought of, I think you'd be the guy to ask about this. How do holidays and current events play into selling products? Like, it seems like you've had your best week. The holidays are coming. Is that related? Is there a strategy that goes in?
Well, December is usually our worst month of the year.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but we have built a just tremendously loyal customer base through the same strategy that we're talking about here. Through giving good content, value to people. And, I think most people, they don't really understand what giving value means. They look at it like, I'm going to give value and then ask for a sale at the bottom of the post or, the bottom of the video. No, man. Yeah. Produce cool shit that people like to watch. Make them be a part of something. And because of that, we've built a tremendously loyal this is actually a really cool story. We've just built a tremendously loyal customer base, and we had Black Friday.
Yep.
Last Friday was our biggest day we ever had in sales. We didn't even run a sale.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what our customers are doing. They're passing on other companies that are doing, buy one, get one free.
That have sales going on.
Loyal because we have a tight knit community, and that's, we ran some value added things, like we put some, free apparel and stuff like that, but it's just amazing, amazing.
That's great.
So, really, really fortunate to have the people that we have behind the brand.
Yeah, you've got an engaged community that really loves your stuff when that's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just good people, man. It's just it's a really cool case study on culture.
Yeah.
It's hard to really see unless you come to like one of our events. Like
Yeah.
we have an event here called Summer Smash. You know, we sell protein, man. Like we sell vitamins. It's not cool. Like it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're selling Ferraris here. We're selling freaking Flintstones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people come from all over the world, man. Like people came from
Wow.
Africa, came from England, they came from Australia
That's
to
awesome.
come to Summer Smash, which is an event that we have here at headquarters. So
Wow.
we don't do trade shows. We have an event here at our headquarters once a year,
Smart.
and we sell 1,000 tickets. They sell out in less than 3 minutes. I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. Like
Wow.
it's fanatical. It's
That's
freaking,
amazing.
dude. We're very fortunate. It's amazing.
That's incredible. No, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you should come out next year.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll come. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds awesome. Definitely want to check that out. Well, thanks a lot for doing this, man. How can people find out more about you? What's your Instagram? I really want people to check that out.
Yeah, Instagram is at Andy Frisella. So it's real easy. I
Put a
do a
link
lot of
as well.
Yeah, I do a lot of Snapchat, and that's MFCEO-1. And then the website for the podcast is themfceo.com. So, and you can find that on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, it's on all the major podcast platforms.
Awesome.
So the easiest way is just to go to the website, the mfceo.com. We do a podcast every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesdays we do like a practical podcast of tools you can actually go use.
Nice.
Thursday, which is most of the clips on my Instagram come from Thursday. It's called Thursday Thunder. It's just a motivational podcast. So,
Nice.
So yeah, man, it's good. I think it's unique.
Yeah.
I put it to you. It's
No, I
not going
love
to
it. I love it. I'm a big fan myself, so that's amazing.
be. Thank you.
Cool. Well, Andy Frisella, thank you very much. Really appreciate you doing this, and have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.